Cape Media Center, building community through media.
For those who have driven past this location since the early 2000s, it may be difficult to believe that this was once a vast expanse of cranberry bogs. What we're seeing now is the result of a couple of decades worth of planning and eventual execution of a massive ecological restoration project that the Harwich Conservation Trust took on since purchasing these erstwhile bogs from the Kroll family back in 2001.
We created this eco-restoration outcome where we have restored water quality with Cold Brook flowing freely for the first time in over a century. We have thriving wildlife habitats, and we have a beautiful new trail system, including a half-mile wheelchair-accessible loop.
Named for the late founder and president of the Harwich Conservation Trust, the accessible trail has already proven to be a huge draw for the property. It's almost perfectly flat and easy to move across, and it's level with the several bridges that have been built over Cold Brook, giving its visitors plenty to look at.
The views are just extraordinary. When they come into the parking lot, whether it's a short-term visit to just take a lunch break, or whether they have more time on their hands and they want to take a longer loop, they can embark on this half-mile all-persons trail, a wheelchair-accessible loop. We're hearing from folks that might have had joint replacements or maybe some arthritis, and they want a stable surface to walk on. Families with youngsters and strollers are also enjoying it.
In that regard, the trail has earned itself the title of Ideal Lunch Break Hike for locals. And for those who may want to venture beyond the half-mile loop trail, there are options.
Here on this corner is where the two paths converge, and the trail goes from being wheelchair accessible to something a little more rugged. But if we continue moving forward in this direction, we'll come across the 100-foot bridge where we can take in some more views.
In our travels, we can see that the property is made up of 4 interconnected ponds. The first 3 are fresh water, and from the 100-foot bridge, we can see the 4th pond, which is a brackish mix of fresh and salt water. This eventually leads out to the edge of the property on Hoyt Road and continues on to Saquatucket Harbor. One other element that may stand out to first-time visitors to the property is the sheer volume of birdhouses that dot the landscape, and there's a good reason for it.
There has been an enormous increase in wildlife and avian activity. The avian count is somewhere around 162 species that have been documented on this site since we started keeping account at the end of construction.
In its visual simplicity and natural beauty, the Cold Brook Preserve may be a helpful reminder for Cape residents, particularly those who have called it home for the past few decades, that there are still places on this special East Coast peninsula known as Cape Cod that are off limits for development.
My mom and dad raised my brother and I on the Cape. And so growing up on the Cape, especially in the 80s, I saw a lot of changes. I saw a lot of the wild places that I would turn to and explore. I saw them disappear. So it made an impact on me, and I'm so grateful to be able to work with the community and our project partners on efforts to restore and renew wild places like this.
But while all of this scenery is easy on the eyes, the truth is getting to this stage was no easy feat. As a reminder to visitors as to just how much work was involved in its creation, they've set up these information stations explaining the how and why of it all.
Part of what we hope people can understand is the complexity of this project and the complexity of the work that turned it from a cranberry bog into what they are seeing.
Cape Media Center, building community through media.
Just like all other Cape Cod towns, businesses in Chatham have no problem getting folks in the door when the sun is shining and the beaches are packed. But what happens when the snow lands and the people shack up for the winter? Businesses that have been here for quite some time, like Fisherman's Daughter, know a little something about that.
So I started the collection in 1999. It originally started as a collection of accessories. I was shellfishing at the time. I had just graduated from Chatham High School. My dad fished commercially out of Chatham Harbor as a longliner and a gill netter. So I was inspired by growing up in Chatham, and eventually I started doing a lot of wholesale, mostly in New England, and then I opened my business, the physical retail store, 16 years ago. Everything is inspired by growing up on Cape Cod as the daughter of a fisherman. My favorite drawing that I've done is the Life Comes in Waves. So you'll see it on many different styles. It's one of our most popular designs.
Along with her own collection that's inspired by growing up on Cape Cod, other local artisans are also featured in the store. From jewelry to home goods, there are plenty of pieces from the local community, as well as ones from all the way across the country in California.
Pretty much every artist that I have in the store I've met personally. So yeah, it's an eclectic, curated mix of artists and designers that I feel complement our collection. Everything that we stock is printed locally. We try to source base products for our printed gear that is manufactured with eco-friendly and recycled materials whenever possible. And for all of the lines that we carry in the store, we also focus on vegan, recycled, organic, as much as we can. For example, 2 of our sunglass lines are made with plant-based acetate. So just really trying to focus on products that are as sustainable as possible.
Although Fisherman's Daughter is open year-round, the winter certainly stalls the in-store traffic. The winter and the cold months become a time to regroup and see what the next move is.
As far as our own designs, I do as much drawing as I can when it's a quieter time for us, and that's usually when I'm able to take a little bit of time off to spend more time reflecting on Fisherman's Daughter and things that I think people will enjoy us adding to the collection as either drawings or, other designs.
Fisherman's Daughter has been known to the Chatham locals and tourists for years, and the path there isn't always the easiest, but they have made their mark and their home in this quaint seaside town.
We generally will have customers that are in town just for the day come back a couple times over the course of the day and tell us that we have the friendliest staff and great customer service. So I think that goes a long way. I grew up in Chatham. I have, 45 years of friends, family, and over 26 years of my business, and it becomes your work and customer family. So a lot of people that I see year after year have been customers of mine for over 20 years, and so they support my business in the off season also, which is great. I have a wonderful local following as well as off Cape tourist following that maybe only come in the summer, but they always come back to say hello and support the business. When I first started, we were just coming out of a recession, and I was in a weird offbeat location, and I had this dream, and 16 years later, it's a privilege and an honor to be able to get up and come to work and open my door and see my customers and have wonderful interactions with people. And that's the love and support of my business that I never expected when I first opened. I always hoped that my dream would come true, but it's been an incredible experience.
Cape Media Center, building community through media.
So a little bit of the history of Eventide. This stage apparently was built around 1954 and named after Gertrude Lawrence, who was a famous actress back then, and her husband was involved with the Cape Playhouse across the street, and so the stage was here long before we were. In 1998, the music director for Dennis Union Church, which this is part of, decided that he wanted to create something that would utilize the stage that was here. His name was Noel Tipton, so he created Eventide Theater in 1998, and it was intended to be a place where there were thought-provoking shows, which is a big part of our mission. I think one of the misconceptions that people have is that we're part of the church.
Right.
And we're not. We're a totally separate 501c3.
Clearly, it's not a big building. It's a small venue that we use, but we do some pretty big, thoughtful ideas and shows. We are community-centered for sure, and we were in a church, so we are certainly part of the Dennis community. The mission is that Eventide wants to promote theater that's maybe not done everywhere all the time, and that will educate as well as entertain and provide opportunities for collaboration in the community and to give actors a chance to do something that maybe they won't have a chance to do otherwise. It's an embarrassment of riches, really, what we have down here.
I've found a lot of great friendships and stuff through Eventide. Eventide was like the first theater company on the Cape that I did a show with. When I actually got really into theater, like my first show was in 2021, and it was, during COVID, so it was a totally different time, but I still had a lot of great connections that I made, and I still keep in touch with a lot of those people. And Eventide's just been a really wonderful theater space filled with people who just really love to kind of play in the sandbox and support you and believe in you and cheer you on, even if you're not in a show directly right away. And I'm just really grateful for them.
Right now, mostly because of Donna's influence, we're much better known to the community. I can't tell you for 25 years how many people have said, oh, there's a theater in there? We didn't know that. That's been a big part of us trying to overcome that. And since Donna's been here, and she's put on some wonderful shows that have brought in new actors that hadn't acted with us before, new production crew that haven't acted with us before, and a whole new audience that once you get them here, hopefully you've got them and they'll just keep coming.
Cape Media Center, building community through media.
So IFAW stands for the International Fund for Animal Welfare, and we are actually based here on Cape Cod. It's where our International Operations Center is located. IFAW has offices in over 15 countries, and we have projects in 40 countries throughout the world. And one of these places is right here in our backyard, right on Cape Cod. We have about 85 staff that are located here, and of those, 10 work on our marine mammal rescue team. IFAW has been around for over 50 years. First came to the Cape in about the 80s, and we have a long history on Cape Cod. While we think globally, we act locally. The program that I direct, the Marine Mammal Rescue Team, we have the federal stranding agreement that gives us the permission to respond to all live and dead marine mammals, so marine mammals such as seals, dolphins, large whales in this area. And so that work is twofold. One, see what is affecting these animals, because these animals are an incredible way for us to get an indicator on the ecosystem, how the ecosystem is faring in this area, their habitat basically. But also it's a great chance to provide welfare for these animals, especially when live animals strand. We can be out there, we can provide veterinary care, immediate rescue care to these animals when they need it the most. And in the process, not only help the individual, but learn from that and use that information to affect conservation change. This is our mobile dolphin rescue clinic. This is a custom designed vehicle. Throughout our history, we've innovated, looked at different ways of doing things, ways that we could be more efficient, ways that we can help these animals when they need it the most during these strandings. And so we've changed a lot since when I first started in the early 2000s with this program, and it all kind of culminated with this vehicle. We can hold up to 12 animals where we're standing right now. So these blue mats that you see all around me, these fold down on the floor, and we actually can have the entire floor matted out to help protect the dolphins. So our staff and volunteers, when they find a stranded dolphin on the beach, we bring them in here, and this is the opportunity, basically like a human ambulance. It allows us to do a health assessment on each dolphin, look at their breathing, look at their heart rate, take a small blood sample so we can analyze it, all while we're heading to a release site. Where these dolphins strand, we can't release them where they strand because it's a maze of mud flats and sandbars, and they would restrand. So what we do is we actually transport them a short distance to beaches such as Herring Cove in Provincetown, where there's good deep water access, giving these animals the best chance to survive. People don't realize it, but Cape Cod is actually the busiest place in the world for dolphin strandings. And part of it is our geography. We're that sandy hook that sticks out into the ocean. We have a high tide cycle, tide flux between low tide and high tide. We have good proximity to good habitat for dolphins, good food resource of fish in the area. These are all factors that come together to create a stranding hot spot. In a typical year, over 25% of the dolphins that strand in the United States strand here on Cape Cod. Last year changed all that. Last year was like nothing we had ever seen before, and it really started on June 28th of 2024 with a dolphin stranding that ended up being the largest in U.S. history. So 146 Atlantic white-sided dolphins stranded together in Wellfleet. But what we didn't realize at the time was that kind of set us on a course for the next 6 months, other animals stranding. And so by the end of the year, our numbers had gotten quite high. In a typical year, we will respond to about 57 live dolphins in a year. Last year, we had 376. So almost a 6-fold increase in what a normal year would be. We do use volunteers. We have about 260 trained volunteers spread throughout Cape Cod. They're people who live on Cape Cod year-round because a lot of our strandings, especially our dolphin strandings, happen in the wintertime. Those are our eyes and ears. So they are retirees, students, people from every walk of life on Cape Cod who share one common interest, and that is in the environment and the animals that call it home. So we like to say we find our best volunteers out walking on the beach because they're already out there anyway. And that's even if someone doesn't have the time or the ability to volunteer, it is still something we ask people to participate by reporting, because this vehicle is incredible, staff is incredible, the supplies we have are incredible, but until we get a call about an animal in need, it doesn't do anything. And so getting the general public to call our stranding hotline, it's 508-743-9548 for any live or dead marine mammal. And that way it gets our team, especially in the case of live animals, moving right away. We get those volunteer responders out there to assess the situation, report back to us. But even for dead animals, allows us the ability to go out, collect information, and we can document what are affecting these animals. And so we can keep a better and closer eye on the environment.
The annual Centerville Stroll kicked off on historic Main Street last Sunday. The streets were packed with people of all ages. Everywhere you turned, there was something happening. Santa and his elves greeted people as they passed by. There were all different kinds of delicious treats to try, even the chance to make some s'mores and warm up by the fireside. From sweet treats to warm beverages like hot chocolate and apple cider to ice cream from Four Seas, many enjoyed the tasty snacks in the cold. But the fun didn't stop there. There were even multiple performances, such as a dance performed by Beth Walsh Dance Company and Barnstable High School's very own pep band. We enjoyed beautiful caroling that really set the mood, as well as a surprise flash mob that had many smiling with joy. There was also the opportunity to send your own handwritten letter to Santa and send them off to the North Pole. Don't forget the petting zoo. Kids were lined up to pet the goats. Centerville Stroll was surely a hit this year with crowds lining the street. What a great way to celebrate this holiday season.
Tucked in the small village of Marston's Mills is the Fig Tree Cafe. Formerly known to locals as The Mills, the new owner Maria made the place her own.
I purchased this restaurant in September of 16th of 2020, so right in the middle of COVID, pretty much. It definitely was like a dream of mine, and this restaurant, a lot of the ideas came to me from many, many years of experience of dining out myself or working in restaurants, but also I'm honoring my parents. They're both from Italy. They both were amazing cooks. I love to cook as well. And my father, he was a master gardener, and he specialized in trees. And fig trees was one of his most popular plants, the trees. And then my mom would take the figs that he grew, and she would make biscotti and different cookies. And so I really thought hard, what am I going to call this place? And it just made sense. So what's unique about our restaurant is mostly everything is scratch made. We use really high quality ingredients, and we have a really good variety of options for people with special diets, like gluten-free items. We have separate gluten-free and vegan menu. We use a lot of clean ingredients, organic ingredients, and we just like to get creative with our menu. So especially in the winter, we have a lot of unique specials.
The Fig Tree always has a packed parking lot in the summer, with the hustle and bustle rarely quieting. But when Cape Cod slows down from November through late May, how does this beloved cafe make it through?
Businesses on the Cape try to maximize their business in the summertime, and winters can be a struggle, but we basically try to get, like I said, really creative with our menu and change it up every week, just so that it creates something exciting for people to try. They want to come back. And I'm a firm believer that if you put out an amazing meal, the word will get around, and I think that's the best advertisement. People start talking to their neighbors or friends, start spreading the word about us. It is slower, and sometimes we get nervous. I'm pretty established now. It's been 5.5 years. In the beginning, it was really tough. You just have to hang in there and just keep putting out the best service and food you can, and hopefully, like I said, the word will get around, and you'll have a steady business. Plus, I have steady customers. I have regulars that come in. They're like family to us. We know their name. We know what they order most of the time. So that is also really important, to be part of the community and have a community meeting place where everybody knows your name. It's important. You have to take care of the people in your community because they're the ones who keep you floating, really. So, and it wasn't easy at first because I changed the name of the restaurant, and a lot of locals did not like that. But I had to make it my own. I waited so long for this, and there's a special meaning behind it as well. So the previous owners did a great job. So I was able to take what they built and just elevate it a little bit more.
When stopping by the Cozy Cafe, it's clear the staff loves to be there as much as the customers do, which makes for a great experience that keeps people coming in even when it's cold.
Cape Media Center, building community through media.
Hey, I'm Kayla. I was an intern at Cape Media Center back in 2019, and that experience totally launched my career in media.
And I'm Destiny. I was right there with Kayla in 2019, learning everything from camera work to editing and loving every second of it. The staff here at Cape Media Center were always hands-on and always willing to answer our questions, especially with our final project. We created a series of videos called the Blue Economy Project, where we dove deeper into how the ocean plays a vital role in Cape Cod's economy. The series was well approved, and we couldn't have done it without the Cape Media Center. Fast forward to now, I'm working in live music production and have even worked at venues such as Gillette Stadium and Fenway Park. And I actually came full circle. I'm back at the Cape Media Center, this time on staff. Cape Media Center gave us the tools, the confidence, and the real-world experience to chase our creative goals. It's more than just a media center, it's a launch pad for your future. Start your story at Cape Media Center in Dennisport. Cape Media Center, your voice, your vision, your community.